He is.
Oh.
Okay.
John, are we on the air?
We're on.
Welcome back to the G3C show. You know the song, right?
Chad.
You know the song, right?
Yes, starring
Mr. Gunnels
Mr. Gunnels.
and Duchess of Dabs.
Baby Shakes.
Babe Shakes in the house. You got the clap. This song's so good. Sorry guys, I watched the show last night, Give 'em the Greek.
Patrick says we're on.
Nice. Give 'em the
Thanks,
Greek was
Pat.
on TV last night, so give 'em her. I got the clap, you got the clap. That shit's in my head, so sorry guys, I had to play it just a little bit. But welcome. As you guys can see, Mr. Gunnels is sitting in today. We do not have Jeremy in the house still. Jeremy is still on baby watch.
Baby watch.
He's watching too. I mean, like, he's got the telescope, like, baby, give me a signal. No signal yet.
Anytime now.
Anytime now.
That's good.
And I don't know if you guys know too, but like I know a lot of you guys know my three-legged dog, Mr. Sensi Bear. Yeah, Sensi Boy, Sensi Bear. I got a million names for him. But he actually is sitting right now in the hospital. He went in for surgery last night. I found out he was bleeding internally from hemorrhage tumors in his spleen. So he is down, and he had a very nice lady who is an awesome surgeon down in Milford remove his spleen last night. And this morning I went and saw him, and he was looking adorable as all can be. Yeah, and if you guys
Glad
haven't
to
ever
see
seen
you,
this
I'm
dog,
sure.
yeah, if you guys ever seen this dog yet, if you guys go to the Genesee Compassion's webpage or Facebook page, I'm sorry, Genesee Compassion's Facebook page, there's pictures on there of the dogs like Beaners. You got Sensi on there. He's my three-legged dog. He's an adopted dog. They're like my little kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have kids, so these are my kids. So, yeah. If
Well,
you guys love my dog, or if you guys have seen him, or if you guys just love dogs in general, you know, give a little prayer for him. He does need a nice little speedy recovery here.
No kidding.
Alright.
I hope your dog's all right. So
Yeah.
you said you'll know in a week or so.
Well, I'll know in a week, by next week, if it's actually something cancerous. But luckily, there was no other growths noticeably inside the body. So that means he would have time to live like a more happy life, getting for maybe another year or so.
goodness.
That's what they said. Now I always look, when they got his leg removed when he was 5, they're like, oh, he might live, a couple of years, maybe even a little bit longer. And this is 6 years later.
Wow, so he's 11?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is like usually when your dog gets older, they'll be like, well, it wasn't really funny, but it made me feel good about my dog. They're like, usually when a dog gets over a certain age, we don't ever advise for surgery at all because they can't handle going under, the recovery process, and they didn't mention it. They were like, all right, this dog's fine, let's get him in for surgery, So that made me feel like, I was pretty proud of like the way my dog looks for his age.
Yeah, he
like,
must be strong enough to undergo that.
very healthy. I mean,
so.
they said he is like the friendliest dog they've had down there.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I went and saw him today. I had tears in my eyes the whole time seeing him. They got him on a fentanyl patch. Unfortunately, I don't get to pick his medicines for him. But I know it. Yeah, but I am fortunate that he doesn't feel any pain right now because he had about a good foot-long incision down his stomach.
Wow.
And removing your spleen, it can be a little. I'm sure it can be a little shocking when your stomach starts moving back around with an empty cavity in there. But more love to my brother. You know what I'm saying? A little Sensi boy.
Right.
But yeah, guys. Sorry about going on with my dog.
That's all right.
But we got a lot going on right now.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. You love dogs. I love animals and dogs too. They're man's best friend. I totally agree.
And I feel when you get a dog, it's the same as like getting a kid. Like you have to let that animal.
Oh, I totally agree.
Live its life till its natural death.
And you should treat them like part of the family. It should be for everyone to understand that. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And if you don't think you can handle having a dog, I keep getting close to this mic, and I think that's one thing people say. It's too loud.
Too loud? Too close? Too close?
There we go. Let's move it that way a little bit. I will say.
John, how do we sound?
Yeah, John, how do we sound?
I think you
John's
sound
watching
okay.
porn again. He wasn't
Is
paying
somebody having
attention.
a problem?
What's that, buddy?
Is somebody having a problem? Because
No, we just wanted to
asking how we
check
sound.
asking how we sound.
You sound okay, yeah.
We sound okay. We never get it good. It's just okay.
Right.
What I was gonna say, guys, wrap this up real quick, is if you feel like you can't handle the responsibility of a dog or a child, maybe it's not the time for you to have a dog, a cat, or even a child. So think responsibly with that. Yes.
Spay and neuter your pets.
Yeah, spay and neuter your pets. Definitely. Now I know we have some stuff going on right now at the club. We'll get into some political stuff here in just a moment.
Yeah, let's see what's up with Eric Gunnels. What have you been up to?
Well, the whole trustee Thetford Township. It's a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of it's a great accomplishment. It's a great feeling being a representative of the people, and I like the position very well. And it suits me fine. So I think that I'm going to finish up this 4-year term, and probably within a few years, I'll decide whether I need some more training at a local level, or whether or not I can maybe shoot for a higher position of a state level. So that'd be really cool.
That
'Cause
would be awesome.
I think we need some changes in this this state. We need more of our congressmen to recognize one major thing I think is very important, and that is the will and the wishes of the voters. I mean, we elect those people. They've got to take what we have to say every time they cast a vote on something. And I don't think that voting at something at 4:20 in the morning on a Thursday, you know what I'm saying, is taking into consideration that much of our opinions and our matters. So I think that it's important, and I want to help set a new trend with that. And I think that one of the people I look up to the most is State Representative Irwin. He's got a couple House bills right now. He's trying to get everybody collectively on.
And that's the Ann Arbor representative, correct?
And that's Ann Arbor representative.
So
and I mean, and I was this year at this year's Hash Bash. I thought it was an amazing accomplishment that the fact that the 43rd annual Hash Bash had a state representative give a speech off the stage.
That's wonderful.
I thought that was huge. Oh, and another councilwoman, which would be the same equivalent as what I am elected, of the local Ann Arbor area. So she also gave a speech in the state. So that's 2 elected officials that gave a speech off of 2013's Hash Bash. I thought that was very impressive myself, and it gave me a lot of encouragement, a lot of
ideas.
lot of ideas, exactly. And because I think it resonates with the rest of the state that look, we're not the only ones, we're not the only elected officials that agree and are on the same page. We want to see the medical marijuana thing just at least more accepted in our society, especially on the business level and the transfers level and the transactions and all that we make. We want the courts to also recognize too that, look, this is something that the people voted and we've got into effect. We want you to also, take our wishes into concern also. You know what I mean? So we'd like to see better court rulings.
That's what I like about you being a politic, because a lot of people are always like, well, when they're looking at voting for people in politics, they're always like, oh, well, I don't know. This guy's never been a politician before. This guy's never owned a business.
Right.
Now, here's the thing, though, is you got someone that owns a business becomes a politician. Wrong kind of politician.
True.
You got someone who's trying to take over a city, and wants to be like crazy into money. They're bad for politicians.
Sure.
And you have someone that comes into it with like the idea of like, well, I'm new at this, so really what I have to do is listen to my people and then get a grasp for what they want first, and then learn how to handle that and make that possible through my control. Instead of going in there with your own personal vendetta, being like, you know what, I already know what I'm going to do, because I just got the job because I told these people that if they got me in office, I'd make millions of dollars. So I already know what my idea is.
Right.
Like, you want people, like, it'd almost be nice if there was, like, laws, like, what you had, like, stipulations to be a politician. Like, you can't be this.
You got to lose your job, lose your home, get kicked in the face by the legal system, get raided and all that kind of stuff. Then you got to become a politician.
Yeah, well, it's like a doctor just sitting there one day going, you know what, I don't want to build houses. I'm just going to switch careers.
Right.
Hey, you know what, for $1 million, we'll build you a house. And you're like,
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Chad. I think that's important, too, that I think now more than ever, people in the future will begin to recognize that voting for someone who has, voting for someone, especially like a career politician, someone who's been in politics their whole life, what does that person really know about real life anyway? If they've been a politician their whole life, they've never had any other kind of other job, they've never been subservient to any other kind of employer or employment. So there's a lot to grasp and understand with all that. And I've certainly worked for a construction company. I worked construction my whole life, so I've got 10 to 15 years of construction under my belt. And then aside from that, I built my own home. I got caught up in the whole mortgage crisis that went down here in 2007, 2008. You know what I mean? With all the, when I say mortgage crisis, I want to maybe give me a little specific about that. I mean, like when you have the system that inflates all things. In 2004, we had the market all-time high with land, property, tools, and resources, materials, lumber and so forth. All of those are all-time high, but because the market system failed, and because those figures and statistics, along with your appraisals, your interest rates, all those things are artificially created and inflated. So at that time, being caught up in that, and then all of a sudden, now the bottom of the economy drops out. People can't afford what they used to, you would think that the person's home would be then reassessed to the assessable taxable value of the home, which really should be, according, and if that $700 billion that we gave the government to bail out the banks, if that money would have went to actually helping people like me, in other words, I would still have a home and I would still have all that, But I don't, and because I lost all that, I think that sort of resonated with the people in my community, because a lot of people in my community lost homes and things like that. And they realized that, hey, okay, this is a person we want to be in office, because we want a person to have been there. To write policies in the future that actually, protect and guidelines these type of things from happening. Because if you've never really lived it, then you're an outsider looking in. And yeah.
Very true.
So there we go.
Let's see.
What's going on?
We have some club stuff, I think, right?
Yeah.
What do we have going for club? Yeah, I know we have some new stuff going in the club. We have Patrick Swayze now has been working at the club more often.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, if you guys are at the club,
Is that his new name now?
New nickname?
yeah, check him out.
It's new to me.
We actually he was hired on as a Patrick Swayze lookalike on Tuesdays, and then a Heath Ledger lookalike on Thursdays and Fridays.
So it really varies.
But now he's full on Patrick Swayze.
Spacing
Right
it
on.
out.
What's up, Patrick Swayze?
What's up?
Yes. I know we got a lot of new stuff at the club. We've had a lot of new, like, DabWorks stuff. We had a lot of DabWork tools,
Yep.
DabWork mats, a lot of vapor pens. I know the vapor pens have been a big hit with people.
Cool.
Especially
We're selling out.
yeah, especially.
Crazy.
Yeah, it keeps sounding like crazy. I mean, here's a mini one to show you.
And you can literally just put a dab's worth
Yep.
right in it, and you're good to go. It's
And
wonderful.
actually, I've seen a lot of
one.
the doctors doing certifications, showing those off to people. That and medibles, like candies and such, sitting there and showing people the benefits of vaporizing and the benefits of the medicinals, or I'm sorry, the medibles. And
Yeah.
a lot over smoking. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of hard.
there's also a big misunderstanding right now in the club with a lot of members on the medibles situation.
Yes.
Yeah,
People
go ahead.
are freaking
Yeah.
out
Go
about
ahead. Give
this
us
right now.
I've been asked it a lot too.
There's-
I've been asked that a lot as well. So.
Well, I don't know if I have the specifics with the court case and the gentleman's name with me, but there's a court case on the west side of the state where he was pulled over with medibles and product, yes. And the Michigan Court of Appeals is currently saying that his medibles are not usable under medical marijuana. So he will not be able to use them, as well as his concentrates, like his BHO or his tinctures, like your Simpson oil. Anything extracted from your actual bud is not going to be usable medical marijuana.
Okay, but does that mean that it doesn't count as your usable weight, or does that mean that
That
it
means
counts
it is
as
not-
a different?
You are not protected,
Protected,
having
right,
it under your
right.
possession right now. So
But they ruled this out, and it was only not protected under Section 4.
I believe this one
And
is...
they told him that he could go back and do the
Section
Section 8
Right.
and appeal it. And the Section 8 would apply him protection, because part
That's
of the
right.
confusion was the
okay.
state, when they tested the brownies, they couldn't get an accurate reading of how much THC was in the
because
brownies.
they don't know how to test
They
it.
don't know how to test it.
So
should've just ate
there's
some.
one major problem that the Court of Appeals is actually bullying just about every court case involving medical marijuana, because they're not educated.
Right.
The judges, the prosecuting attorneys, these labs, whoever they're contacting to try to decipher our laws, are not properly educated on what is usable for medical marijuana, how it benefits people. So just about every time with the DUI case that sought Court of Appeals, and now this medibles case, it's been overturned once it gets to the Michigan Supreme
Well, what's
Court.
going to happen with this? Sorry, guys, that cracker was so good.
Right.
The gentleman had,
Delicious.
I think it was like 4 or 5. I could be wrong off my numbers, but I know the story, so of how it goes. So if I'm off by an ounce, don't bust my balls, because I know he was under his legal limit. He was under his legal limit on ounces of weed for him and his patients. On top of that, I mean, it was only like 4 or 5 ounces he had. I think he had 4 patients plus himself.
Yes. So he was
The brownies, I
almost
think he
full-time.
had like, it was between 5 and 10 brownies, like regular brownies, but they weighed the brownies as a whole, and it came out like at 40 ounces. So they weigh them as a whole.
So they
like
weighed
40
the whole
ounces.
brownie, not
Yep.
what was in it.
Right, that's including the flour,
Even
the
though
nuts,
it's going to
the
be
chocolate,
labeled
everything.
how much
Right.
actual
Yeah.
medicine is in
So
the
they
brownie.
weighed the brownie
Right.
and the ounces. So he's like at 46, 48 ounces, and he's only allowed to have
Yeah, 12 something.
10 plus, 12 and a half.
Sure.
So he's over. That's what they say. And they couldn't test the product inside the brownies, so they figured that they have to weigh the whole thing. And since they can't figure out how much THC's in there, it's not applicable. And it's not, they said it wasn't protected under, I could be backwards on this, they said it was Section 4, I'm pretty sure, they wasn't protected under. But he's allowed to appeal it and go back. But he's going to go in front of a jury now, and the jury is going to see him under Section 8, which is the one that says under, you're allowed to have an unlimited supply of medical marijuana to make sure you're, in your situation. So what's going to happen is they're going to have a jury of educated peers like us, and your parents and your
Expert
family.
witness that can testify,
Yeah, they're
like
sure.
Jeremy
They're
and
going to have
other
smart people there. They're common sense, like citizens of Michigan. And the citizens of Michigan are going to be sitting there in the jury. And what's going to happen is they're going to be like, all right, so he was under his legal weight for ounces of weed, of actual usable bud, by a lot. And he only had like 5 or 10 brownies.
I
So
believe
if you don't consider the weight of the brownies, you just look at the 5 or 10 brownies, and you go, all right, he had 4 plus himself as patients. That's 5 5 people. That's 1 or 2 brownies each, depending on the number of how many there were.
Sure.
So that's a day. That could be a night. That could be 2 days worth. It could be whatever. So a jury's going to look at that and go, all right, under Section 8, you definitely are not in an excess of medical marijuana to supply your patients with an uninterrupted supply of medicinal marijuana. You actually have a very small amount of medicinal marijuana, and it just looks on numbers that you have this huge weight, but really it's only a few brownies. And with the amount of patients you have, you're definitely not going over and exceeding any realm of acceptability of having a usable amount of product for your patients to have a non-interrupted supply of medicine.
Which also applies to the concentrates and the amount of plants that you will need for example, the Simpson oil. That lots of these judges and they just don't understand.
And all of this encompassed under the law itself is what we would consider, what any defense attorney could argue is a reasonable. This is
amount.
Totally reasonable.
It wasn't like 100 brownies. It was 10.
Right, exactly.
And
we're talking a reasonable amount here. All logic points to this reason.
And so bottom line, I would say, is for everyone with concentrates, butters, tinctures, brownies, to not overreact that this is simply a court case. Nothing is changed by the law. We are simply trying to educate Court of Appeals clearly on how to decipher what is already written into our law, and hopefully we can expand on our law because we're clearly going to have to include these things.
Real quick before you forget, let me give you guys one.
What was that?
We got a caller?
Oh, awesome. Oh, we have a caller.
All right. Hey, caller, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Not plugged in.
What we got here?
Good. This is Theo.
What's going on? You got a question for us, bro?
Yeah, just
Sorry, man.
calling in to talk about if you guys have heard about the new Special Operations Division of the DEA.
Yes, we have, actually. We are inching our way to get to talking about that, actually. Mr. Gunnels has some better insight on that one. What's your
actually, Theo, you're the one that actually informed me more about this. So please share with us what your share the news, my friend.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Well, just Reuters came out yesterday, and 2 Reuters journalists, and they broke the story. It was an exclusive that. There's a Special Operations Division, and not that was secret, because that's been known. That division was known since '93, I believe. And it's really narco-terrorism and sort of outside the U.S. Was their focus. But they're actually, there's some information that got revealed that they're actually engaging in pulling information off the grid, off the NSA spy grid, which is only supposed to be for terrorism, and basically bridges a bunch of our right.
Right.
So, and they're giving that information to about a dozen different agencies. not just DEA. So basically, you're here's the scenario: you're on the road, you're going to go somewhere, and you've already made a phone call to someone about a transfer, and they know you're going, and so they just push a button and they contact law enforcement, and then the police pull you over. You think it's just a traffic stop, but in fact, they've already been told you're there. Here's where you're going. Here's your description, the car, everything. And then once they're doing it, they're told that if you're in this SOD, if you get this knowledge, you're to lie to the prosecutor and to the judge.
So
you're not to reveal where the information came from.
Okay, so basically what they're doing is they're subverting the Constitution of a right to a fair trial, because anytime that you are, a prosecution or charges are pressed, your defense and you have the right to know what charges are brought against you and who's bringing them against you. And if there are accusations...
I believe that's the Sixth Amendment and Third Amendment. Yeah, Sixth is about your right to a fair
trial. Right.
Mm-hmm. And, what constitutes a fair trial, you can't secret laws and such like that. But they've already proven, or at least they've come out and admitted, that they don't believe that anyone who is, they call, quote-unquote, a terrorist or associated forces are entitled to any constitutional protection. And there's also been another revelation that the government has this interpretation within DHS that anywhere within 100 miles of the U.S. border, you don't have any civil rights. So they don't even have to give you any civil rights.
All right, well, let's there's a lot of complicated stuff here. Let's kind of break it down for our listening audience.
But the point is that they're saying that they already don't believe you have rights as if you're a terrorist, but just common criminals now they're extending it to the general population.
Right. Here within the United, mostly most terrorist cases are abroad, not within our own borders. So what this is saying and what this procedure does is it subverts the right to a fair trial by subverting the evidence brought forth initially on how they got the information, in which case, most cases, it would be either an eyewitness report that comes in and gives a statement to the police, which then the police then take to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor takes it to the judge to get a warrant, because there is legitimate concern or evidence that's been brought forth to conclude that something is going on. But instead, they're subverting that process by allowing the evidence to be denied or admitted in court that the evidence came from the NSA.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically it's like we're testifying against ourselves. We're guilty until proven innocent. So not only do you lose presumption of innocence, you also lose the right to incriminate yourself. So it's the Fourth and Fifth Amendments plus the Sixth are getting destroyed there.
Right, because as soon as you're being charged with something, you immediately have the right to remain silent, and you immediately have the right to withhold the Fifth Amendment to say anything further that would possibly incriminate you.
Be careful on that, because there's even been a normal ruling on that. So now, if they're just talking to you, you can testify against yourself, and they don't have to give you Miranda warning. You got to be careful. Don't get into a legal area on that. Yeah.
Right. Well, thanks, Theo, for calling in on that whole discussion. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was very good.
For anybody who doesn't think that they are tracking you, if you're not taking any measures, yeah, they are.
Right. When Edward Snowden blew the lid off the NSA there a few months ago, I mean that when they pretty much came out and admitted that they were data mining. That's pretty conclusive now, and I think everybody should take that into consideration, for the future's sake. I mean, I knew ever since our phones got the GPS tracking unit inside of them that, that was what the future was going to hold. I knew that 3 or 4 years ago. That's why I put a Decepticon sticker on my phone, and everybody would told me like 3 or 4 years ago, "You're crazy, you're nuts. That's a little silly. It's a little out there." And then 3 months ago, the NSA admits to it publicly that they're dead.
So they've gone through layers of denial. I mean, they just circled the wagons and said, "Oh, we don't do this on America, not without a warrant."
Right.
And then they had to retreat off that, and then they said, "Oh, well, it's just metadata." And it's like, "Oh, well, it's everything." Yeah, I guess we're doing everything.
Right.
And we're not only doing everything, we're just giving it to anybody without any kind of restriction.
Right,
So we share it with the Germans, with the UK, with the Australians.
And not only
New Zealand.
that, but we can't even get them for perjury on the witness stand because technically by that statute they don't have to admit it. So we can't even call them out for perjury for lying on the witness stand about false evidence brought forth. That's
Shenanigans.
Well, they just played well in national
Shenanigans.
security. I had to lie.
right. Well, thanks a lot, caller, for calling in. Appreciate it, Theo.
Yeah, if you are,
Yes, thank you very much.
if you are up to it, come on into the club. We'll get you some free G3C gear for giving us a call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You get free G3C gear for calling in today. You know
Yeah,
that?
well, anytime. If you guys want to call in at 810-208-1854. Again, that's 1-810-208-1854. And you want to call in and ask a question, we'll get you some free swag from the club. We got some pretty cool stuff down there to hook you
Yeah,
up with.
or you could also email us at the club, genesee3c.com.
Yes.
So there's a contact.
And Theo, too,
info
if you
there.
want to keep up, we got our Facebook page, the Genesee Compassions on Facebook. I know Facebook's another one of those things that are tied to the government, but we do have Chelsea right here. She does a lot of her political stuff. She stays on our Facebook page with stuff, so if you ever need to get a hold of her back and forth, you can, little email. So if you ever want to do that or call back in with some more information if you got there, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, Theo.
Thanks, Theo.
All right, so what else do we have going on today, guys?
I was going to mention something before we got our phone call, though, just real quick. I'd like to give a little bit of advice to everyone who's freaking out about all this hash and
Yes.
medical stuff.
Mhm.
Let me tell you a little thing real quick. It's, back in the days, my grandfather said, if you don't plan ahead, you plan to fail. So what can you do to help protect yourself and to make things easier in your mind? Take precautions. If you guys are going to have medibles for yourself, for patients right now, and you're very unsure about all this, maybe you should get stuff tested. Or when you make them, weigh stuff out, divide it by how many you get in a batch, and label them.
Properly label all of your
Yeah.
meds.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you're driving, have them locked like you should anyway.
Sure.
And you should be fine right now
Yeah.
until there's
Because I'll tell you this
more
much.
clarification. so.
If you were this guy and you had brownies, and your brownies were labeled with how much milligrams and how much of this and that is in their brownie, and it's like labeled even weight and all that for them, like purely, it's like obviously labeled. And this went in front of court, and it goes into a jury. The jury would be like, "All right, you're gonna tell me you cannot figure out how much THC was in this brownie, and the guy even labeled it for you? Well, you guys can't
Right.
read."
Right.
Like, if you do that kind of stuff, it just helps protect you. Because, if you don't do it, you get caught with your pants down. You get caught getting the whole brownie weighed, and you're like sitting there going, "Dude, I'm telling you, the whole brownie is not weed."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, how do we know that? You didn't label
Right,
it."
right. I've always told people from the very beginning, label, signs. I think that labeling and signs is a very good thing because it sort of like takes away this the ambiguousness of what it is that you're doing. You're outright spelling it out. I mean, when you put a sign on the front of your facility that says, to all law enforcement agents within this closed lock facility is a legal medical marijuana growing operation. You're stating it. You're stating it. There's no, you're not leaving any room for the officers to stand out there and go, well, I wasn't sure. I didn't see any signs. There was no notification. I didn't, there was no written statement that said anything or thus. I just thought it was this or, and so I think that that's a better way to go. It always seems to have worked for me in my experience anyway. I think it can work for other people, and I have heard it work for other people, where other people have told me they have had signs or labels, even when it's been a medible cookie or anything, they've been pulled over with just possession of it, and it had a label on it. And the officer just hands it back to him and goes, "Oh, okay, all right, it's under 2.5 ounces. Have a nice day."
Yeah,
Right.
I've heard
That's
people-
it.
And
yeah.
they actually appreciate that
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
lot of circumstances.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard
thank
of
you for
stories.
having it cut and dry for me. So,
Yep. I actually was pulled over by the Genesee Township Police Department last summer, and I got pulled over on the day that my card expired.
oh.
The day that my card
Did you
expired.
have your paperwork?
But I did have my new paperwork, and
There
I
you
did
go.
have my new doctor's recommendation on me,
Nice.
which he didn't even need to see because by the time because I refused to talk to him and answer any questions. He was inquiring. He probably saw the High Times magazine in my back seat and was just automatically assuming that I had some marijuana in the vehicle, and so. He just said, "Oh, look, I just want to let you get this ticket and be on your way, but I have suspicion that you have marijuana in the vehicle." So, make a long story short, I'm like, well, we're just gonna see where this goes. I'm legal, you know. What can he do? You know what I mean? I don't like to have to produce the card or produce what I show what I have if I don't absolutely have to. But when the cop insists and he pushes you to that point, which they do, and sometimes you're like, well,
right.
You know,
Here's my right.
Right. Here we go. We're gonna waive the little rights
waive
here.
My rights and
waive my rights and see how this goes down.
Okay.
And I handed him my card, and it was expired 1 day exactly. If I'd have been pulled over the day before, I'd have been good. Pulled over the next day, and he goes, "You know your card is expired?" And I goes, "To be honest with you, officer, that's why I was reluctant to show you the card, because I knew I was 1 day expired." I said, "I do have my new recommendation under the seat if you'd like to see it." And he just looked at it, and he just goes, "Have a nice day. See you later." That was it. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should be.
Yes.
That's the way it should be. But you know, unfortunately, that's not everyone's going to get that pleasant of an officer and or jurisdiction, and maybe so. Who knows how it can go? I just hope everyone
stays safe and within their limits and properly.
And if you feel the roadside pullover is just going in a wrong direction, if you get scared and you think it's going in a wrong direction, you need to invoke your rights to remain silent. You need to say, look, I don't know where this is going at the moment. And if they question you about your medical history, and you just say, look, my medical history is not something to be discussed on a roadside pullover.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm either being detained or I'm not. And if not, may I go, please?
And if you think it's going bad at that moment, just be quiet. Mm-hmm. Just don't say another word. And tell them to say you want to speak to your attorney. That's it.
There's a great video on YouTube called "Don't Talk to Police."
Speak up, John. We can't hear you.
There's a great video on YouTube called "Don't Talk to Police." You can find it.
I just watched it, John.
I posted that a couple days ago on my Facebook page.
I just watched that actually. Yeah, that is actually a great video.
The best one to go to because there was a lawyer and a cop.
Yes,
they both say the same thing. Don't talk to us.
You're absolutely right, John. Let's for the listeners out there. I mean, the name of that video was "Don't Talk to Police."
Don't talk to police. Yeah.
Don't talk to police on YouTube. Please watch that one. I posted it on my Facebook. That is an excellent video. It really shows from both a master attorney at the university. He's a professor at the university.
Yeah, he teaches at Liberty University down in Virginia.
Yeah, and the other guy who did the speech was a state trooper, and I thought that was and both of them just unanimously agreed 100%. Do not talk to police. It can only hurt you, and it can't help you.
Right.
So remember that.
This peach is delish.
Delish. Thanks, Patrick Swayze, for the peach.
So what? Any other news we've got going on?
Well,
I'm interested in this still.
This was sent to me by Jeremy via email.
This right here?
Yes, which was sent to him via
Representative Colton's pretty cool.
Ben Horner, Michigan House Republicans. We were invited to an industry shareholders meeting hosted by the Honorable Michael Colton, who is a Republican House representative.
Yep. He's been up to the club before. He's a pretty cool dude.
Oh, awesome!
He is really
I would really
cool.
like to meet
really
him.
Cool
I don't
representative.
believe I've met him, but
I've had the opportunity to meet him a couple times.
He's a sponsor of House Bill 4271, which is the Provisioning Center bill.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm just starting to read into a little bit. But this meet Michael Colton is August 21st.
Mm-hmm.
It is in Lansing. It is RSVP only. But it seems to be an all-day event.
55 a person.
$55 a person.
Mm-hmm.
But well worth it though, folks. The money's going to a good cause. It's Representative Colton's raising money to have these committees to discuss this. So
right.
Like all
so
dripping all over.
If since lawmakers in Lansing are looking for your input, so that's wonderful that they're at least putting it out there. Let's see if they take our input into consideration. So we better show up. Right?
He has been really working a lot with the medical marijuana area or groups, just like
Jeff Irwin,
Irwin
Yep,
from
Jeff
Ann Arbor.
Irwin. He's also
They've been working
co-sponsor for that.
a lot with all of us for the last few years, and I remember seeing his face quite a bit. Like I said, these guys are all good guys. They actually have it coming into the right thing. They're doing it because they love this stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
Let's talk about.
And I had the opportunity to meet Representative Colton, and I asked him one time why he felt this cause was a just cause to fight for, and he said it was because he's a chiropractor, he's a licensed chiropractor, And he knew that chiropractic back in the day was actually seen as witchcraft and voodoo or whatever. So people, it was a taboo. Cracking bones was just a taboo back in the day.
How can that fix it?
And so chiropractors went under a lot of scrutiny, and chiropractic didn't really even was not even acknowledged by the. I'm trying to think of the name of the organization, National Health Organization, whatever. Is not even recognized by the field of physicians until about 12 years ago. So it really is a more recent acknowledged health, practice in our society today. And so he recognizes that, seeing the relation and the correlation between the two. He says that look, this is if doctors and physicians are writing these recommendations, we need to allow these things to happen and occur.
Right.
And obviously, we want.
Oh.
And obviously, Chad's like all dripping with peach juice.
I got
Well-
peach juice all over me.
While Chad leaves, let's maybe talk a bit about what the Provision Center bill is. A lot of people have no idea.
Okay.
I have the copy of the bill here. We'll kind of go over maybe just briefly. It is a bill to regulate medical marijuana provisioning centers and other related entities, to provide for the powers and duties of certain state and local governmental officers and entities.
That would be me.
Right. To provide immunity for persons engaging in certain activities in compliance with this act, and to prescribe penalties and sanctions and provide remedies, and to allow the promulgation of rules. So, summing it up, it would give each township or city the right to decide whether they want to have some sort of dispensary or compassion club or farmers market in their town.
Correct.
Which would make it then not as accessible to all the patients in our state, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that we're going to have to really work on and
So this is the hard
get
part,
more
is it-
people involved in. And I'd love to see what everyone has to say on this at the
Yeah.
meeting.
Tough
So I'll
part is-
certainly be there. You should go too.
Yeah, California's done the same thing. Like, there's a lot of places where the counties or villages or cities have said no to their area, and it's mainly this is like for dispensary and stuff. Now, saying no to someone for like growing or having your own patient card or being able to smoke, that's just absurd. And if that ever happened in Michigan, I think we'd all revolt, because we have a huge number of people
Sure.
that voted for this law,
Sure.
and a lot of people are involved with it. So I don't think that ever happened. But I don't know. I could see the dispensary one, it be a bad thing and a good thing. It's like one of those things that's bound to happen,
Sure.
because that way we just make it.
I
less,
think it would be maybe fair to at least allow every township or city to have a standard on how many are in their town. I can understand them not wanting to be overrun with them.
But see, I don't agree with that either, because I mean we don't do that with any other kind of
That's
business.
true,
I mean
like
we let the market bear the decision. I mean
Right.
the market
The economy
bears
runs it.
the economy
Right.
runs it. I mean
So
if
wherever
you
it's needed, that's where they
if you
place
if you
it.
put up an ice
Like
cream
an
stand
Applebee's.
and people like your ice cream better than the guy's next door, they're going to go to yours and not theirs.
That's very
and
true.
they're and
But-
so that one will be the successful.
You have a call. Patrick wants to ask you a question.
Patrick,
Patrick
Swayze.
Swayze.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Pat.
What's up, Patrick?
Is this the Patrick Swayze I've been hearing about?
Patrick Swayze.
This is
He's
our
back
newbie.
from Ghost.
Nice. Okay.
Pat.
Well, what's up, Patrick?
Hey, a lot of people have been asking me about concentrates, saying that they're worried they're illegal now. Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, we had just gotten done talking about that quite
Yeah.
a bit, Patrick.
I thought you were talking about medical.
Medibles,
that's actually all in the same
concentrate,
Concentrates.
BHO, all of that is all under the same category.
I missed that. Well, I also heard that you guys had late nights now. What
We do.
night is that, and how late are you guys open?
We are open Friday nights,
Oh,
all
10 to
day,
10.
10 to 10.
Yeah.
10 to 10
Yeah,
on Friday
It's
nights?
a fun time.
Yeah!
Hey, all
dude.
day Friday.
Yeah,
10
Yes,
all day Friday,
I'm gonna be
12
there
hours
this
of
Friday.
G3C
Yeah.
fun.
Party down till 10 o'clock. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, too, we have a lot of people on Fridays. You know, that's like the end of most people's
All right, well,
day.
awesome. Thanks, bye, guys.
Were you taking off, Patrick
You're
Swayze?
leaving us already?
Patrick Swayze.
Question answered.
Oh, he had to go.
Yeah, right to the point there.
Yeah.
Point
He's like,
taken.
Yes.
I think I like these. I think I might wear them.
They are kind of fun. I feel like I'm like a pilot.
Thanks, Pat.
Let's take her down.
One more thing, real quick, we have to include before we go on with our spiels is the first reconvened review panel meeting was yesterday.
Mhm.
I got to take
Nice.
these off. Unfortunately, I didn't get to attend. I had to work at the club, so I didn't get to make it. But apparently, it was a. It's all right. Apparently, it was a pretty good review panel. Do you know much about the review panel situation?
I just know about that they were convening, but I also heard that they were not going to dress because they were lacking the number of doctors, something like that. Was the last time, or
The last time
They-
they did not have the chief medical executive
that's what it was.
on the
Okay.
panel.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And it did not constitute as a quorum to recommend these conditions.
Right,
So
right.
per administrative error, they had to
Reschedule.
No, this time
reschedule
they
it.
had him.
This is
right?
the new one.
Or had
Now
that
they
person?
have him, but they're still missing one advisory.
That's
Member,
What it was. That's
so-
what it was. Yeah, they were missing.
There you
somebody
go.
again. Yeah.
See if you
They're
fill
still
in.
missing one person. So they did convene yesterday. They voted no to autism and asthma, which will be their final determination. Which are, I haven't heard a whole lot about either of those two. The main
I've heard cases where there's I've actually seen a news like a 1 hour special news report on an autism child that did benefit from medical marijuana, and the parents fought hard to be able to allow that child to be able to use that
Oh, yeah.
without the scrutiny and the legal system giving the flag on
right.
it. So it just
Was that
it-
here or just?
no, I think that was
in the States?
somewhere in the nation. I don't think it was not a Michigan case. It was somewhere else. But irregardless, it should be something that should be considered, especially in rare circumstances. And they already have the validation of a child needing 2 doctor recommendations instead of just 1.
What?
Also,
Right.
well,
That's right.
in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah, a child
That's right.
needs 2 doctor recommendations, not
Sorry,
just
not a kid.
one, as well as the child's legal guardians. And I would at this point I would just say, look, if the child's legal guardians and 2 doctors both say that this child would benefit from this, I think everybody else needs to just say hands off.
Yeah, cheese
Right.
and rice.
Sure.
Well,
Unfortunately,
breathing
that's
room.
their final say on those two, but they did get a thumbs up for the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So PTSD will have a public hearing within 60 days.
That is huge.
So that is
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
Very huge. Because
I'm not
many
sure how-
veterans. It's
Yes,
it's a big
lot
issue.
of veterans, and not even veterans. There's a very sweet girl that comes into the club
Mhm.
who was violently attacked, and she suffers PTSD, and
Sure.
unfortunately couldn't
Sure.
register for that
For
certain
that,
condition.
Right.
But she certainly is
Yeah, it comes
glad
from a
that
lot
it's
of
being
things.
recognized now, and
Yes, and
a
I-
lot of my friends, I'm sure you know a few as well, that we're
Sure.
trying to bring down to Lansing with us for this public hearing. And
Sure. And that would be the first. That would be the first considered mental illness on the
on the list of
recommendations. Right.
I believe
Qualifying
so.
conditions. Sure. That
I
would be the
believe
first
so.
of the qualifying conditions for a mental illness. Now they've.
Unless
You know-
I believe we do have anxiety, but I don't know how
No.
much that is exactly.
No, because anxiety is not it's not one of the qualifying conditions. Most people with anxiety that they do claim it helps, like people with post-traumatic stress disorder, usually have to say that it's some sort of chronic pain or condition of or debilitating condition that is an ongoing. So just like if you
Associated
had
with-
right associated with lack of sleep.
Right.
If you couldn't sleep correctly or you couldn't go to the bathroom correctly or something like that, those are normal functions of life that everyone has to have working correctly, or you're not going to have a quality of life. So everyone has to, so the doctor basically has to spell that out in different MD terms in order to get it on the application as a measure of a chronic pain or condition of some kind.
Right.
So I've seen this. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It's just it's pretty much.
I had a doctor went for a referral one time, and then a doctor, he looked at me, and he was like, "So are you okay now?" And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "After everything I just told you." And he's like, "Well, let me look your medical records." So I pull up my backpack, and I literally pulled out a stack like this big, and this
Sure.
was like my travel thing. And I sat down, and he goes, "Wow." He goes, "You sure? You know you could get better." And I'm like,
This is a lot of reading.
"Sure."
He was not willing to.
I'm like, yeah,
Dive into.
instantaneously, all my wounds and my metal plates and stuff are gonna like, poof.
Right,
magic. I feel like
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say you're almost like the bionic man.
Yeah,
Almost.
You sleep an hour a night, and you wake up, and they're like, "Oh, at least you're sleeping." Whatever.
Really?
You're right. An hour? Thanks, buddy. No, but yeah, it's so, whether it's, no matter what kind of condition it be, people should be able to put down what their condition is and say, look, this is what helps. This is what helps
Right,
me. This is
and-
why I want to use it. The person should have the freedom to invoke their civil right, under our
Under our
Constitution.
MMMP as well
yes,
to apply.
to
petition.
be able to say, look, this is what I want to do, and here's my $100. Give me a license. Thank you very much.
Yep.
That should be the end of it.
I think single moms should be allowed to get a medical card just because they got to deal with kids on their own.
Yeah, stressful.
Well, that's another show. That's a Moms for Medical Marijuana segment.
Nice.
And it will be Baby Shakes on the streets,
Yes.
asking mothers of Genesee County that very question.
That'd be awesome.
That will be planned.
That would be cool.
I think so.
Hmm.
We should do that.
I'm sure
But-
You should go with her because you're going to be talking about just single moms.
That's true.
Like, so, what do you do for fun?
And go.
Are you single still? You only have one kid.
So, John Evans is the PTSD petitioner. He's been very gracious with his presence in our club, keeping us up to date on the review panel goings on, since we haven't really been able to get down there. So hopefully we can talk more to John Evans about that and the 7-2 vote on the PTSD. Chad, I think you had mentioned that you had a friend who does
Yes.
have PTSD. Maybe would want to talk about how that benefits for him.
Yeah.
Um,
I know he would like to get down there.
yeah, that's awesome. So they have 60 days from
Funny part
yesterday
is
to
Before
set up a
marijuana,
meeting.
like medical marijuana, he would never be able to get down there and talk to anyone. 'Cause he'd be so nervous.
Really?
Yeah, like I didn't know how serious this really is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know, but I don't, because I don't have it, obviously. So, for me to take someone with PTSD and to take him into like Zingerman, or not Zingerman's, but what's the one up at Frankenmuth?
Oh, Zenders?
Zenders. Take him into Zenders and be like, let's go eat.
Yeah, it's not
And
gonna
he's
happen.
like, oh, and I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, oh, I don't like this many people. And I was just like, oh no, I'm sorry. And think about that, like people with that kind of situation, like they can't go to like places where everyone else gets to go, like big crowded scenarios. If they've been in
Or
Vietnam,
even family events.
Yeah,
They
little
can't
kids.
even sit comfortably with their own
yeah,
families.
he can't. My patient and my buddy, cannot even be around little kids. Little kids screaming, that's part of the post-traumatic syndrome for them. So I mean, just imagine if you're back in America and like every time a kid screams, it makes you have anxiety attacks where you're just like and you can't be out in public because of that. I mean, it's not cool, especially people that served our country. And then like she said, other people obviously get post-traumatic stress syndrome nowadays. You can get from car accidents. The word says it all: post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
So you can get it from any kind of stress. So yeah, that'd be really cool to have it on there. Just because I know, even if you don't have stress and you got to smoke marijuana, you'd be a lot less stressful.
Yes. So I'm hoping to talk more about that.
Imagine if
Let's
the
get
world
some
was
people
like
on the show.
a bunch of frisbee golfers and
That'll be our homework.
hey man, what's going on? Hey dude, I don't like the way you talk to me. Oh, it's cool,
Hey,
dude.
guys.
Smoke this. Okay, thanks, buddy.
Guess what this is here? Everyone see this?
Oh, yes, the
yes.
M report.
Everyone?
Mhm.
Triple M report. It's my hemp
Yes.
blurb here. I wrote an article.
The Triple M report
Yes,
is a
I read
great
that.
report. You guys should get out and read it. It comes out
Yes.
every
There you
month.
are.
Free.
Nice.
Fancy.
Yes,
Nice.
Baby
What
Shake's
magazine's
getting in
that?
there.
Baby Shakes. What was that?
What magazine's that?
This is the Triple M Report magazine.
Okay.
Yep.
And it is featuring John Sinclair, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So I'm really, really grateful to have my article in here. This is wonderful.
Yes.
If you want to keep up to date on industrial hemp, state-by-state info, hopefully we will have a new hemp class at the club soon.
Nice.
Cool.
Stay tuned,
That'd be awesome.
as well as
a lot of people have been asking
your
about
grow room tech. People are wanting the grow room tech class.
that. Are they?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So we're working on restructuring our classes, so if
Yes.
you want to stay educated,
It has been a
stay
busy summer,
tuned.
though,
It
guys.
has been very busy.
Once we get around here to fall, we
Yep.
get some fall stuff rocking out, like back to school. You know
Post
what I'm saying?
baby,
Yeah.
waiting on that baby.
Uh-huh.
Wink, wink.
Yep.
Ramona, we hope you're doing well. We miss you.
Yep.
What date do you guys think? And then we got
I'm
a
gonna
guest
say tomorrow
tomorrow, which is
or
the
Friday.
10th, or 11th.
Tomorrow's the 8th.
The 8th. That's right, 8th. What are you thinking?
What, tomorrow for what?
Baby.
When do you think? Like what date? August. It's gonna be.
Oh.
It should be soon.
Baby
like, it
reveal.
should be
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with.
Like we're guessing the dates now. We're taking
Yeah, we have a
like,
running
bets
poll
on the
at the club.
dates.
I'm gonna
Do
go
you
with
really?
Yeah, we got a little poll.
Yeah,
Little
8/16 because it is just 8 doubled, so 8/16.
Oh yeah, it's
That'd be
doubled.
cool. 8/16/13.
Call it little deuce.
Yeah, little deuce. There you go.
Yep.
Little deuce. Professional wakeboarder. He's gonna be born and he's gonna have like a little wakeboard already attached to his feet.
Nice.
Like, oh, that's why it was hurting so much.
Oh, do we have
We got
a
another
caller?
caller? We've only got a few minutes left of the show, so we're gonna have to make it
Do
quick.
we have to give Pat free G3C gear? He's a staff member. Is this
Yes.
Pat again?
Hello? Caller?
It's the boss.
Hello.
Hello.
What's going on?
It's Jeremy.
Yeah, I heard all this baby talk. I had to call in.
Oh,
Hi,
right on.
Jeremy. How's it going?
What's up, Jeremy?
How's it going, guys?
Good,
Not
good.
bad.
Good.
What's your prediction, boss?
Anytime soon.
So I guess we should.
Probably before hemp becomes legal.
Yeah.
Right,
Good
right.
to know.
Right on.
Good to
Cool.
know.
So,
How's
you got a
Ramona
question
doing?
for the show at all, or you want some free swag?
Yeah, send me some swag.
Next time you come on the club, just stop
Is
at the
it-
educational center.
free.
We'll get you some free swag.
Absolutely.
Some G3C diapers.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome. Can't we? It's on.
Do we have any
Just
old
so you know, we're
T-shirts sitting
making
around?
some.
Just use a let's black film marker on the back.
So what's going
So
on?
what's up,
That's
Jeremy? Just hanging out at the homestead, chillaxing, or what?
I was hanging tight, keeping it real. I was watching all these different court cases, been reading the reviews on those, and definitely interesting there.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you have
for
any
sure.
new info?
Do you have anything new?
It looks like a few of these ones that have gone to the appeals courts are going to be going back down to district court.
No.
And despite what the hoopla has been about in the news, a lot of them are still going to be up for debate and still going to be defended by the Section 8 defense.
Good. That's
so
good.
Definitely we'll have yet to see.
Right, excellent. Yeah, we know that the Section 8 defense just got stronger in 2012 because, we now have the right to legally assert that now in court.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we
You'd
are
think you'd have it
protected.
from the get-go.
You would think since there was
Right.
a Section 8 from the get-go, but you know.
Right.
What's the
It'd
point
be
of
like going down
having
the
it?
road and being like, well, I was paying attention to the 5 of the 55.
Right. No, good analogy, man. Good analogy.
You gotta love.
You know, I liked your analogy originally too. Like I know this was like a couple of years ago when you said like, it'd be like someone running a stop sign, and then we charge that person as if though they never owned a driver's license.
Yeah.
That's just it's like that's ridiculous. And recently I went to a court case with a friend of mine who was a medical marijuana patient prior to her charge. She was her license expired. It was like a few months expired, and she just didn't have the money to renew. She just hadn't got around to it yet, and then she was charged with possession, even though there was another medical marijuana patient legally in the vehicle with her. And when they were pulled over, he dropped the medical marijuana in the front seat, and when the cop found it, he charged the driver with possession because it was in her vehicle, claiming she had domain over it. And but anyway, long story short, I went to court with her, but the best they would offer is a 7411, and they didn't even want to take into consideration the fact that not only was the marijuana the passengers, but she can't even be held accountable for being in the presence of the medical use of marijuana, even if it was the passengers. So there was like a double. I thought that she had the case doubly in her favor, but yet they didn't want to give it to her because she has an expired license, and so they wanted to act like they wanted to disregard it altogether. And I just thought that was BS. But it just stuck anyway, and there was nothing we could really do. I mean, she could have fought it probably if she wanted to, but that would have been an expensive court battle.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
definitely gonna have to make sure your cards are in order and
Sure.
you got your limits.
Right.
And now that we have the new law passed as far as the transportation,
really shouldn't be running into that situation anyways. You guys want to make sure everything's always inaccessible is the real key there. And,
Right.
you know, something you can just toss in the front seat, that's not exactly inaccessible.
Right, exactly.
Of course, we actually emphasize that for me because I've had a lot of people telling me that they've had cops pull them over and told them, oh, well, this new law says you have to have it in a locked box in the back of your vehicle. Now, I always tell them the same thing that I always hear you say, is that it has to be inaccessible. That means like a backpack that means completely tucked away, packed away where you cannot access it. Right?
I think the law specifically says container, but it does not say a locked container. Is that correct, Jeremy?
That is correct. And it just mainly is implying that, you know, it needs to be inaccessible.
Inaccessible.
For lack of a better term. Out of reach, you know, not prepared, so on and so on. I mean, a police officer can tell pretty readily if something's being consumed, you know, while they're driving. And I think that's really the main concern they're trying to get across here is that they want to prevent people from driving impaired if they're using medical cannabis. And obviously, you know, as patients and caregivers, we need to be concerned with that, making sure we're being the responsible ones and not giving, you know, them excuses to imply those things, whether it may or may not be the case. So
we do like to tell people at the club, go ahead and get a locked container, because if it is inaccessible to you and it's in a locked container, they don't have the right to search that. If they're going to search your car, if they have suspicion, whatever, they supposedly have to get a separate search warrant for that. So we at least recommend it. If you want to be double up on your safety there, cover your butt.
Yeah, there's no harm in being no harm in weighing in on the side of extra precaution, you know.
And this is I'm sorry. This is dead serious too, but there is a couple shops around this area. I know some of you guys really take your protection seriously with your stuff. There is a few shops around the area that will actually build you secure custom stash spots in your trunk, like where it will raise up and lower down and locked, so that way it's inaccessible completely. I don't know the prices on these because I'm not looking this up. I'm not at that status.
That's intense.
Where I need something like that, but there are people out there that want protection, just like jewelers and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know the prices on them, but I do know you can check on that kind of stuff if you really need to be secure.
Is that the James Bond option?
Hey, well, you know what I'm saying? We got people in America that have, like, bunkers underground with, like, you know, all because of 2012 coming around. So, I mean, like, you know, this kind of stuff is...
I thought that was because of Y2K.
Or Y2K.
Y2K. We're way past that. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, we're past the hour here, so we got to wrap up the show.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me call in. I hope you have a great week, and we'll let you know as soon as things change here at the home front.
Yeah, next time you come to G3C, don't forget to stop in up front and get your free swag for calling in with a question.
Yes. And good luck to you guys.
Yes, good luck. Tell Ramona we said hi.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Right,
bye. Hi, Ramona.
All right, I think that wraps it up for the day, guys.
Yes, guys.
Thanks for
we've talked about
calling
a lot of stuff today.
Yeah.
We really have.
But there's more for next week, so stay tuned.
Yes, there is.
Hopefully we can get Toby on here, maybe some
Don't forget August 21st, Representative Michael Colton.
Yes.
You can be down at Michigan. You said Ben at Michigan Organics and a bunch of other fellows are putting this on. I know that organization, they always do great work with their political
I'm not
endeavors.
sure if he's putting it on. I'm really not sure, but we did at least get the info from him.
Well, it's an industrial shareholders meeting, so I know it's a lot of people. I don't mean to diss anyone that might be putting this on. I just am not sure, so I'm just saying. Whoever's putting this on, thank you very much. It's a wonderful event, I'm sure. I'm going to try to make it there myself. Like I said before, all the events that have been held so far by people in our industry, with representatives, with different political figures, have all been really awesome. And the only way they're going to continue to get better is if we all show support and go. I know it says $55, but you get lunch, a plated lunch. You get to meet the Representative Carlton. Plus, also, they have a whole go on about testing, fertilizers, patient notifications. Yeah. So it's you get a whole walkthrough, and I'll tell you it's this much. If you ever work for a big business and you go to like some of these seminars for the day, it costs way more than $55 what they're paying for you to go do this. So you're getting a lot of stuff right here for $55, and like Mr. Gunnell said, it all goes to help out our movement with other events like this. Your support helps, so get out and show some support for this
Yep.
movement.
Link
guys,
up
for
with
sure.
us on Facebook. We'll
Yes.
keep you updated until
And
we
John's
go.
in the office doing this. I think he likes to play basketball. I don't know what that really means.
I'm not doing dance moves.
Wrap
no.
up the show.
See you guys next Wednesday.
Wrap it up. Yes. Peace.
Peace out.
See ya.